I've done a lot of retro game hunting in Japan over the last couple years, but right here at home in LA is Frankenson Collectible Show, quite possibly the biggest retro games emporium in all of the United States. It's not just games, they have all kinds of collectibles, so trading cards. Adam, what else? Help me out. I have my Frankenson expert here. Awesome, Adam. What else can people get here?
They can get card, collectibles, vintage games, current games, toys.
So it sounds like just about anything that I could find at Hard Off and Hobby Off in Japan.
Oh, one time I found a $2,000 SpongeBob costume, like from Universal Studios. Like they had that over
Like
here.
someone's that they wore for their job to walk around as SpongeBob in the park.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like, actually,
I'm not looking for that today. I'm looking to see what the deals are like on retro games and see how it compares to all the retro hunting I've done in Japan over the last couple summers. Adam knows this place well, so we're gonna head in. He's gonna take me straight to the good stuff.
I got all memorized, dude.
Let's go.
On my head.
Immediately upon walking in, the scale of this place is intimidating. It's like an entire convention hall that's open here year-round. Before you even get to any vendors, the entire building is decorated with collectibles from signed baseball jerseys to McDonald's memorabilia to skate shoes signed by Tony Hawk, Steve Caballero, and Paul Van Doren. Even Lil Mystery showed up in one of the cases. There are full-size character statues and a display of vintage Pokemon toys, including some Japanese toys that I haven't even seen back in Japan. And just like Japan, there's an entire wall of gachapon machines as well. Adam, this is crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
I haven't been here since they moved to this new location, which was like, what, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And I think it's been like maybe 7 or 8 years since I actually came to the old location. But this one is way bigger.
Hey, when's the last time you guys seen that right there? Look, the Toys R Us sign, dude.
All right, time to start hunting. The first booth Adam took me to had a case full of handhelds and honestly a better selection than you'd find at most hard-offs. Of course, because this is a specialty shop and probably the biggest collectibles store in America, the prices are much higher than a random secondhand shop in Japan. The boxed GBA-SP here was $300, and they had a Japan-exclusive Game Boy Color for $200 in box. There were tons of older games in the case, including one of my childhood favorites, the original gold Legend of Zelda cartridge for $40. The price difference between English and Japanese Pokemon games is well known, but still astonishing. There was one Japanese gold version cartridge for $30, but all the authentic English cartridges were a minimum of $50, and that's for a cart that looked like someone's dog had chewed on it. Blue version was $80, Crystal was $180, Leaf Green was $130, Emerald $240, and even Ruby with the label missing was $100. N64s and GameCubes were $150 each. For comparison, I've seen N64s as cheap as $25 at Hard Off, and those games and consoles aren't region locked. There was a pretty cool rechargeable battery kit for Game Boy Color priced at $25 though, and I think these kinds of rare accessories are going to be the most exciting finds today. Of course, it's not just retro games vendors here. You can find shops for Funko Pops, Lego, Perlers, comics, and K-pop? There were some pretty cool custom shirt designs too. This booth had a stack of sealed consoles, including Pikachu DS's for $900. There was a good selection of Japanese Pokemon games for cheaper than their English counterparts, but still triple what they'd cost in Japan. There was a DMG Game Boy for $180, and a Game Boy Micro and Famicom SP for $350 each. I didn't expect to find a skateboarding collectibles booth, but I was definitely intrigued. I had no idea Jeremy Klein did an Akira deck collab, but I kinda want one. Or several.
Alright, so I know a really good spot if you want retro games, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do.
Dude, you're gonna see them like, oh my god. Are you ready?
You know I go to Japan all the time, right?
No, but you're gonna say that about this place.
Okay.
Alright, let's go.
Okay. I don't mean that as a flex. I'm sorry if it came across that way. I'm just giving Adam a hard time. But he might have been right about this place. It had the most curated selection in the entire building. We found a full spectrum of N64s, including the Pikachu Special Editions for around $300. The rare controllers alone were $90. There were boxed games in great condition, priced up to $400, and even graded games with a 7.5 Pokemon Stadium 2 for $2,000. And speaking of boxes, the Pokemon Stadium N64 bundle was $1,200. Next up was the GameCube case with OEM controllers for days, including some brand new. The modded Spice Orange GameCube was $350, The Pokemon XD console was $220, and the base Black GameCube was $140. The NES collection included a good selection of games ranging from $40 up to $400, and at the bottom of the case there was even some rare vintage gear, including a Power Glove for $180. In all my retro hunting, I've never seen a boxed Game Boy Micro for sale. This one was $550. The boxed DMG Game Boy was $280, and the e-reader GBA bundle was $1,500. There were a few more GBAs, including a sealed box for $1,000. Now, this might be the most beautiful display case I've ever seen. Game Boys from DMG to Micro filled the shelves from edge to edge. DMGs were $140, backlit GBCs were $280, the stock GBCs were $100, SPs ranged from $120 to $260, depending on how rare or customized. There were stock GBAs for $100 with all kinds of mods and customizations, bringing the prices up to $280. There was a Game Boy camera for $130, a printer for $60, and even unopened printer paper for $30. For games, they had every Pokemon cartridge at prices comparable to what we'd already seen, along with a whole bunch of other rare games. We're not done yet though. Stacks of boxed Pokemon games from $300 up to $750, and all in great condition. There were sealed and graded boxes too, peaking at $6,000 for a 9.2 Emerald. For the TCG enthusiasts, they had boxes of vintage packs, and seeing all this stuff on a shelf together really made me feel like I was 10 years old again. I tend to focus on the Game Boys since that's what I played most as a kid, but they had stacks and stacks for every other console too. They had a Sega Nomad for $350, 360s and original Xboxes, sealed controllers for $140, and a huge selection of boxed games.
All right, Adam.
What do you think?
No, you were right. That's definitely
Right.
that's a nice spot right there.
Even like look at the old promos too. Like they have that. I love that. That's my favorite thing about it.
I didn't even see the boxed N64s up there.
Yeah, dude.
Jeez.
Yeah, they have everything here, dude. I love it.
Bro, it's crazy. Like, some people have like a roof, a ceiling on theirs.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we have too much stuff. We gotta stack it.
We gotta
We're gonna stack it.
Good news for anyone who loves plushies, there's a shop for you too.
It's getting like the most obscure sitting cutie.
This is the second best selection I've ever seen behind the Pokemon Center.
Right?
Honestly, it's better because they have like even the older ones and the newer ones all at once, instead of one generation at a time.
This shop had deodorant in the same display as DS games, which, I don't know, felt like some kind of commentary. We kept browsing and found a shop with some Game Boys priced about $20 lower than most of the others we'd seen. And just for some context, most of these booths are tiny. The last shop we stopped by was probably my favorite of the whole day. The outer display cases had a modded Neo Geo for $260, Game Boys from $110 to $225 depending on the mods. Pokemon cartridges were priced as you'd expect, and there were a couple Japanese Gen 1 games for $35 each. There was a huge selection of repros, essentially bootleg games, all priced around $30. Inside the shop, there was just a ton of stuff. There were cases and cases of games, and walls covered with all kinds of random peripherals and accessories. We talked to the owner for a while, and he said the shop originally started as his dad's personal game collection 30 years ago. It definitely still had some of that personal collection vibe, which I really liked. There were old Nintendo Power magazines and game guides, and OEM and aftermarket parts for mods and repairs. On the wall of peripherals, I spotted a really cool DMG carrying case, which I made a little project out of. I'll be posting that video soon, so stay tuned. There was even an old screen light attachment for the DMG that I'd never seen before.
It costs 4 AA batteries.
Oh god, so that's 8 total.
8 total in order to light up the screen
That's
slightly.
crazy.
Wow. Adam, I think what I'm feeling
What?
is we might need to open a shop here, dude.
Dude, we do. Actually.
With like the stuff that I could bring back from Hard Off in Japan, your personal collection.
all my stuff. Yeah.
Just
I have a lot of
sell it.
stuff.
I don't know, dude.
Now at the end of the day, I just really like finding a good deal. And I don't know how prices at Frank's really compare to other retro shops in the US, but they're definitely higher than what you'd find at a secondhand shop like Hard Off in Japan. People will clown on me in the comments because I'll buy a whole flight to Japan just to say that $50 is too expensive for a Game Boy. But when it comes down to it, I'm just more of a hunter than a collector. I enjoy the process of exploring and finding the cheapest Game Boy more than I actually care about buying it or having it. So I didn't end up buying any games or consoles at Frank's, but I did buy some cards. Not only is it the biggest retro game store in America, it's probably also the best place to buy trading cards like Magic the Gathering, and I definitely did that. So if you want to see a video about that, it'll be up here when I'm done editing it. If that's not up yet though, check out these videos over here if you want to see some hard-off hunting, some retro game hunting from my last couple trips in Japan. Some pretty crazy finds in those videos too. Check them out. One of these.